So now this brings us to the next topic, that is the functions of the root. So now we have already we in the junior classes we have been always learning that the primary function or the main function of root, because the teachers had been teaching us in the junior sections also that whenever we talk about root, what is the function of root? So what comes in our mind is always holding the plant, so giving it a good anchorage and support into the soil, so that if there is a strong or if there is a strong wind or gush of the wind, then the tree would remain standing there or the plant would remain standing there. So the first function is to support the plant or fix the plant in the soil. Second function, which we have been always hearing and learning, is that the absorption of water along with the minerals. But today, what you have learned in the last class also, what you have learned, there are modifications of the roots possible. So all those functions are called as secondary function. So primary function of root is always same. It will fix the plant and it will absorb the water and the mineral. But according to the modification, various functions are there. So all those functions are called as secondary function. So the first secondary function we learned is the storage of the food. Example, in the case of carrot, in the case of dahlia, and in the case of radish or Daucus carota, Raphanus sativus, storage of food is the secondary function of the roots. Then in the same manner, additional support can also be the function of the root. For example, prop roots present in Ficus bengalensis. Bengalensis is the banyan tree. Stilt roots present in the zea mays. Zea mays is maize. Now next is climbing roots. Now there are roots which help the plant to climb up, because there are some plants where the stem is not strong enough to stand erect. So in that case, the sunlight will not be available to the plant in a thick jungle. So in that case, the plants have developed the adventitious roots which will help them to climb up. So that's why these plants are called climbers, and their roots are the climbing structures. And for example, Campsis, the trumpet flower, or pothos, which is also called as Scindaspus, also called as money plant. Nitrogen fixation. So there are plants which grow in nitrogen poor soil, or it is possible there are plants which do not have the mechanism to fix nitrogen on their own. So then they take help of the bacteria, because bacteria also lack some of the properties in the nitrogen fixation. So they both help each other. The plant provided shelter, plant provided organic food material, and in return the bacteria is providing the plant nitrogen fixed by it. So such a relationship is called as symbiosis or mutualism. So nitrogen fixation occur in the leguminous plants, in the roots of leguminous plants, example Pisum sativum or pea, or you can say Fabaceae member, because plants which fall in Fabaceae member, Fabaceae family, this pea family is Fabaceae family. In the same manner, mangroves grow in water which is close to the coastal area and is full of salt and full of sand and soil. So there is less availability of oxygen, dissolved oxygen in such water. So the plant root system may suffocate to death because of water having less amount of oxygen. So in such type of environment, the roots develop branches which will go against the gravitational pull and will come out of water and carry holes which are called pneumatothords. That's why such roots are called breathing roots or respiratory roots or pneumatophores. Then we learned that there are plants which have assimilatory roots also, like the example I gave you was the trapa, where the roots develop green color and start photosynthesis. Water chestnut. Then there are plants in which roots may even develop adventitious buds. Remember, buds should be present only on the shoot system. But if and that also on the tip of the shoot system or the branches, and the axil, which is called as the axillary bud, If a bud develop anywhere else apart from these two structures, then it is called as adventitious or extraordinary bud. So there are plants in which roots will develop buds, for example sweet potato or Ipomia batatas. So from those buds new plants can start coming up. So it's a method of asexual reproduction. Then roots also help in balancing the plants. There are plants like Salvinia which are floating in water. Their roots do not touch the underground. In the water body also there is a floor. That floor has lots of mud. So like if you talk about water lilies and lotus, their roots are in that soil. But Salvinia is such a small plant that its roots do not touch the surface in the water. So that's why these plants need to develop balance. So balancing is done with the help of balancing roots in the aquatic plant like Salvinia. There are many more other plants also which come into similar category. Absorption of the food. Now we have learned that parasitic plants develop special roots which are called hostorial roots. These roots are also called parasitic roots. These roots are present, for example, in Cuscuta. Now the role of this root is to absorb the food from the phloem and absorb the water from the xylem. So such roots are called as the parasitic roots. Now the 10th type which we learned is the absorption of moisture from the air. Example orchids. Orchids develop special type of roots which will hold the plant to the branch of a tree where they are growing in the tropical moisture containing air. Now that air carries enough moisture, so they have velamen type of hygroscopic roots which will be absorbing the moisture from the air. Example vanilla, example venda.